We are checking off another Canadian national park today, and this one is called Kouchibouguac. Yes, I'm saying it right. I even asked the ranger how to say it. And we are at our first trailhead, which is less than 2 minutes into the park, and it's simply called Pines. And we are actually the only ones here, so we'll have this small, short trail all to ourselves. So this little plaque let us know that some of these trees over 200 years ago were actually like twice the size of what they are now. But a lot of them were cut down in the early 1800s to build ships for the British Royal Navy. The largest trees were chosen and marked with the King's Broad Arrow as crown property. But of course today, now this forest is protected. We're only a few minutes down the road and we're already at our next stop, and this hike is simply called Beaver. Appropriately named because when you read the information on the sign, all it says is, have you ever wondered what happens in a forest after the beavers have left? This trail will have the answers. So we're gonna find out together.
We made it to the former Beaver residence. However, it's been unoccupied since 1986. And this trail is all about showing how the forest recovers after a beaver lives here. And I would say it's recovered pretty well because we can't even see the beaver house anymore. The sign here says that it's been so long that we might actually start seeing new younger beavers move back into the area. So it's pretty cool seeing the cycle continue.
We made it to Callender's Beach, which we're going to take a look at after this. This is the dog-friendly beach, which is why we came down here. But first, there's another hike called Migmag Cedar that we're going to do because it's very short. And the description for this one was that it's just a cedar swamp. It's interesting to see that we were just in a white pine forest, and less than 5 minutes down the road, we're in a white cedar forest. And the reason for that is simply because we're closer to the ocean here in the waterfront, and white cedar actually thrives in a more wet environment. So that's why you won't see much pine here, but you'll see plenty of cedar.
So the number one destination here is Kelly's Beach, and it's on like all of their marketing. And it's this big, beautiful boardwalk that you take and you go out to this big, beautiful beach on the ocean. However, it's not dog friendly. So the ranger recommended to bring the dog here to Callender's Beach. But he said it's not like Kelly's. It's next to the cedar swamp, so it's really buggy, and it's on a lagoon and not the ocean, but you can drive right up to it. But it is muddy and it kind of smells a little bit. So we're just gonna do a quick walk by and check it out and then continue on our journey.
Hey, did you know we made a tank treatment? It's called Tank Tune-Up, and it's a no-filler powder that breaks down waste, kills odors, and even cleans your tank sensors. Click the link in our description or find it on Amazon to get yours. Our last hike in this national park is just called Bog. And this one, where do you think it goes? Yes, just to a bog. But the park ranger that we talked to when we first got here, he recommended this. He said it was actually his favorite hike. So I feel like when a park ranger says that to you, you have to go, right?
So we've made it to the top of the overlook tower of the bog, and it is quite impressive. We did read a sign that said that this bog will continue to grow and the sphagnum moss will slowly expand, killing off more and more of the forest, and eventually it will cover the entire forest. Also, here at the top of the watchtower, we're at 21 feet above the ground, which gives us this great view, but the sign up here says that the deepest point of the bog is actually 18 feet deep. So even though it looks completely flat, like you could walk across it, I would not recommend it.
Something that's been really odd to us about this national park is that we have seen one other person on all of our trails today. We did see two ladies having lunch at the beach, but we didn't go to the most popular beach, which was Kelly's Beach, so I guess that makes sense. But it's funny because right before the bog hike, we stopped in at the campground here, which has over 300 sites, and we asked if there were any first come, first serve or last minute cancellations, and she said no, they were like completely booked. So we were just thinking on this hike how odd that is, that the campground's completely full, so there's at least 300 people here. I don't know, are they all at Kelly's Beach? There is a huge bike trail here as well as mountain biking, so maybe people are just on the trail, or yeah, I guess they're all just chilling at the beach. But for us, that means we have to go find a little free camping spot, which is totally fine. We found a place about 30 minutes up the road that looks awesome. So we're hoping we can snag a boondocking spot there.
All right. Can't tell, we're at a beautiful spot called Point Sappin. It's a boondocking spot we found on Overlander 2. It's this community center, and it's free to park here, but it is absolutely stunning, and we got here in perfect time to have sunset. Of course, it's on the other side. This is an easterly view, so we'll have a nice sunrise. This is one of my favorite things about RVing in general, is that a spot like this would cost $60 to $100 if you were in an RV park, but you can just take your RV and park here for the night for absolutely free, have an amazing sunset, go for a stroll on the beach, and then find another absolutely amazing spot tomorrow. That's the end of our adventure for today, so you'll have to tune in next time to see where we end up.